So alongside Tyra coming out for the Little Big Tengu event, we also get a free-to-play servant in Kiichi Hogen, and she's actually really solid. I don't know if she's as broken as, like, say, Kentucky Rider or Chloe or some of those other, like, more infamously good free-to-play servants, but she's still one of those servants that's actually worth leveling up and is a very solid, quick AoE servant that you could bring to some boss battles where she'll have a little bit of utility, or you can also use her as a farmer if you need her to do that. But yeah, I'll go over everything about this servant in today's video. If you guys enjoy daily FGO content, make sure you leave a like on the video and you subscribe to the channel. Also, if you're interested in seeing me play FGO live, I actually do stream every weekday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, although I am starting to branch out and play a couple of other games. Like, I think this should be going up on Wednesday, and on Wednesday, I think I'm completing my Pokemon Nuzlocke, so if you're interested in that, I should be live sometime around 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and you could come out and watch me completely fumble the bag in playing Pokemon. But enough of all that intro, let's go ahead and start talking about Kiichi Hogen, starting off with her hits. And as far as hits are concerned, she's got some pretty solid ones. So obviously, because she's an assassin, her star gen is going to be going absolutely crazy. She can drop stars like the best of them. She's very, very strong in that department. Keep in mind, she also has a 7-hit AoE NP that is quick, that is going to be dropping a lot of stars, again, because of that natural star gen. But it's also going to be really good in helping her with her NP refund, because she only has 0.56% NP refund, but she does have some pretty decent hits on her quick cards, 3 apiece, and a very strong arts card with 4 hits on it, and so she's really going to be needing to get those crits because of her lower NP gen. But because of how easy it is for Kiichi Hogen to drop stars, it's not going to be all that difficult for her to do, as long as, again, you're just dropping stars, you're funding those into the quick cards, the arts cards, all that good stuff. She should just end up being fine in that department. Nothing super insane, but she should be fine. I will also say that she notably does have a very high magic resistance passive. She has that EX magic resistance, so she has a 1 in 4 chance of whiffing any debuff because she has 25% debuff resistance. So do keep in mind that if your Kiichi Hogen just seems to like not get debuffed or anything, or she's getting debuffed less than other people, she does kind of have that caked into her kit, and it's very, very nice, and you'll notice it every now and then. But let's move on to some of the skills that this lady's going to be packing, starting off with her first skill. This is just kind of a solid skill that you're going to want to have up pretty much all the time. It's going to give her a 30% quick buff for 3 turns, as well as giving her 2 hits of evasion that lasts for 3 turns on a 6-turn cooldown. The reason you kind of just want this up in general is that it's giving her very solid quick performance, not only buffing up the damage of all of her quick cards, including her NP, but also the NP refund of all of her quick cards, making it a little bit easier for her to keep getting back to her NP and making sure that her NP gives her a little bit more refund back. And the double dodges is nice. Now, it's a little nicer than, say, like the Jack Raikou Jolter skill, where they have their main card buff tied to a 1-turn survivability skill, but at least this is 2 attacks for 3 turns, so you could go ahead and pop it and it might not get wasted. But at some points, if, you know, maybe you're struggling in a fight or something, or you know an enemy NP is coming, you might want to hold off on the first skill to make sure you don't waste it and don't get obliterated, because remember, she is a quick servant, which means she's going to get paired with Scotty, and Scotty is pretty notorious for not keeping your servants alive because she's only got the 1 hit of evasion that she can give you on her NP. So just keep that in mind. It's like, this is really good survivability, but again, it kind of has to be because she's going to get paired with Scotty. But overall, it's a very strong open for her kit and kind of sets her up to look pretty nice. Moving over to her second skill, this one is actually pretty nice as well because it's a targetable 20% battery that also gives that servant in question some pretty decent star absorption. It's nothing super insane, but that's because, you know, it's targetable star weight. They can't make it too broken now, where you're just turning every and all servant into an absolute beast of a crit DPS, but it is very nice because, again, the thing that I just mentioned with Scotty is that she only has survivability on her NP, so let's say your dodges on your first skill are already down, you can target this on a Scotty that's really close to getting to their NP, have Scotty fire her NP, and inadvertently protect Kiichi Hogen with the NP, even though you weren't going to be able to do that because she wasn't there, right? You could do stuff like that, and it's really neat. Again, Scotty will also get a buff to her NP in the future whenever she comes back on raid up for the Christmas event, and it actually gets a bit better. So it's actually more worth trying to go for, and this can help her get to that NP if you want to use her to support Scotty, or if you need your Kiichi Hogen to fire her NP, it can also help her out in doing that as well, because Kiichi Hogen does have some actual really good effects on her NP, as we'll talk about later. But all in all, this is just a very, very solid skill because it does have some utility, and you can be a little bit cheeky in how you use this skill and how you interact it with, say, Scotty, or maybe like Waver or someone else if you're just slotting in some other support that's not double Scotty. But it can also be nice if you just want to use it as effectively a 20% battery for Kiichi Hogen herself, because her NP is very, very good. Moving on to her third and final skill, this is going to give the entire party a 20% attack buff for 3 turns and 20% NP gain for 3 turns on a 5-turn cooldown. This is basically her charisma, and again, I really like it when your offensive servants give everybody NP gain instead of like a card buff, right? You know, if you have a servant that's like, oh, I'm going to give everybody an attack buff and a buster buff, it's like, that's really nice. But the things your supports really want the most is to get their NPs so they can support you even more. And so by buffing their NP gain, you're helping them out in doing that. Again, it makes Kiichi Hogen a really good partner for like a double Scotty setup, because Scotty's weakness is that you're really never going for her NP because it's never really super insane. But because of this NP gain buff and her ability to target a battery on somebody, you can actually more reliably get to Scotty's NP, and it makes it really helpful for the extra crit damage. Maybe you need the insta-kill immunity, or maybe you just really need that one dodge. The attack buff is also really nice because it is multiplicative when being combined with her first skill, because they're 2 different buff types, and so it allows Kiichi Hogen to do some pretty nice damage. Although, I will say again, that because she's an assassin, her damage might not look super great, even at NP5. She's basically going to be hitting as hard as like an NP1 Shuten Doji. So that kind of depends if you think Shuten Doji has insane damage, or if you think her damage is a little mid, because again, she's an assassin and she's kind of being held back by her class, almost giving her like a negative damage mod basically. If you're like a more newer viewer and you have no idea what I'm talking about, each class actually has their own damage multiplier for how much damage they can do. Avengers have like an absolutely cracked, insane damage multiplier. That's why like every Avenger just naturally does a lot of damage. Assassins basically have a negative modifier, so they don't do any damage. That's why when you look at Assassins as a class, they don't seem to do as much damage. But again, Kiichi Hogen I think is good enough with the damage to kind of get the job done. She's also a really solid looping option if you want to use her for that. So I don't know, maybe I'm being too charitable, but regardless, all of the skills are looking pretty nice. You go over to her NP, and yeah, this thing is really solid, especially for a free-to-play NP. As I mentioned already, it's an AoE NP with 7 hits. That's very good for farming because those high hits are going to let her get overkill, and that's going to let her refund her NP. That's obviously very good, especially also for star genning as well, because the more hits you have, the more stars are going to gen. But she's able to remove all of the enemy's defensive buffs. She unfortunately doesn't do it before she attacks, but it's still very nice because let's say you fire the NP in a similar vein to say like Melt to Lilith, where you remove their defensive buffs, and then you're following cards with like those big quick crits that Scotty's going to be supporting you with. Those can actually go in because you remove their defense or their invincibility or their dodge or some annoying buff that they have going for them. You yeeted those off of them, and at least your following cards can do some more damage. She also has a nice effect where she gives herself an additional 10% quick at least on her overcharge. So when her first skill is up, she effectively has a 40% quick buff. So that can also make her look a little bit better because it's going to ramp up her damage just a little bit, and it's going to give her a little bit of extra NP gain. But in general, she's just a very strong, just solid servant, right? I think we can all agree that like she's not doing anything super insane, but she's definitely not bad at the same time. It's a little unfortunate that she got put in the assassin class because that is kind of hurting her damage a little bit. But honestly, if you look at her damage numbers at NP5, if they just threw her like an NP upgrade and maybe threw in like an NP damage buff, or they said that that quick thing could just stack for 3 turns instead of 1 turn, so her damage will get higher every turn that she fires her NP. You know, turn 1 would be like a 40% quick buff with the first skill, then it'd be a 50%, and then on turn 3 when you're fully built up, it'd be like a 60% quick buff. That could be really cool. What I'm saying is that, like, her kit is very solid as is right now, and if they just give her anything in the future, whether it be like an insane special damage mod or an NP upgrade, pretty much anything they throw her way is going to make her even better, because she just has a very solid base to start off on. But let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I know I'm personally really excited for Kiichi Hogen because you guys know I love my anime waifus with white hair, dude. We love Jalter, Morgan, Tomoe, Kagetora, like all these girls. They all have white hair. Absolute bangers. And then we got Kiichi Hogen coming in. Bro, sign me up. If I wasn't saving my grails for Morgan, I'd probably grail Kiichi Hogen. And I probably will in the future. I just actually need to get some grails. So FGO, let's make grails more available. You know what I'm saying? Give me more grail casting. Give me more of that. More grail fronts all the time, all day, every day. I want all the grails. That being said, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. You guys have yourselves a nice day. Peace. Late, guys.